with Libby for, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, 18 years, and have seen the growth of her ministry. I retired early back in August of 2013 to start a nonprofit, a ministry to work with primarily faith-based organizations and some community-based organizations, helping them build capacity and infrastructure and raise money and work on priorities and billboards and just anything that you can think of that would be beneficial to help. I even have worked with one congregation who wanted to start a ministry within their congregation, and the staff didn't, the members wanted to do it, but the staff didn't have the time, which is a common thing. And so to go in and work with those volunteers and do the grunt work and the structural work and all that kind of thing so that then it can be passed on is just kind of what I do. And so that's what I've been doing with Libby and her team and the ministry, and they've sucked me into this Mosaics Community Cafe, which I just want to say is an extremely exciting opportunity. There are only 50 type cafes in the country, and this would be the first full-fledged one in the state of Florida. And so it's really a great opportunity. It's a great concept. It will take a lot of work. It will take some resources, but I really believe that it is going to be a blessing for this community. And so your support is really important, and anyone that you can share this with is extremely important to get the word out that this is where it's going to be and what it's going to be and how it's going to work. And Mikkel and Libby and others will tell you exactly what it's going to look like and how it's going to operate. But it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for being here and for supporting this effort.
I know many of the people in here, but my name is Mikkel Dormany, and I am the marketing director for Leland Family Ministries. Our executive director is very colorful, but I do not see her back there. She has escaped. So when she comes back in, I'll be sure and highlight who she is. But we're going to talk to you about the Mosaics Community Cafe, which is a completely new concept. And it's hard to kind of get your brain around how it's going to work. If you know anything about the industry, that there are lots of questions there. So before we go into that part of it, we'd like to show you the video. This video is John Bon Jovi's Soul Kitchen, and it's in New Jersey. It's very successful, and it really encompasses the entire project. From the design to the concept to the way it's ran to how it should feel. We will have white linen napkins, as he points out, and so we want to show this first and let you get a good visual for it, and then we're going to talk about how our cafe is very similar and how it's a little different.
You got 1 in 5.
We're creating jobs. The Soul Foundation was founded over 5 years ago, and this is our first community kitchen. We believe that we are taking action every day by empowering people in their communities over something as simple as breaking bread, giving them the opportunity to learn and teach each other something new every day.
The menu does change somewhat on a weekly basis, and the specials change. This is new from last week. Grilled barbecue salmon with sweet potato puree. I do put my reputation on this. You're going to get a really good high quality food. You're going to get a really good bistro meal with southern soul overtones. Fried pickles.
At the Soul Kitchen, you're asked to sit with someone that you may not know. And chances are that when you leave here, you'll know them very well, and hopefully have made a new friend.
Ricky, we met when we sat down and had a lovely conversation. It helps us as a community get to know each other, and then we can care about each other and care about each other's welfare.
Over something as simple as a meal, you may discover a facet of yourself that you didn't know existed before.
I do volunteer work over lunch break, like maybe clean the tables, they give me the voucher for the Soul Kitchen here, and I come and have dinner.
I worked and earned money to pay for my meal, and Ricky worked and earned a voucher to pay for his meal. It's all the same.
We have a great concept here where if you can pay, you pay, and if you can't pay, you volunteer.
Volunteer, encouraging volunteerism, and in this economy especially, I really feel like it makes people feel better about themselves. They're not coming in here and getting a handout. They actually did something for it. Most people don't want stuff for free. They want to put work in to get something.
I like to take the jobs that nobody likes. Dishwashing, I like that stuff. Everybody, clean the plates and cool.
There are people from different walks of life who have a great commonality that is often looked past because we're judging books by their covers.
Food is a good equalizer. There's no divide at all when you're sitting at the table eating the same food.
There's no haves and have-nots here. It's being part of the society, not part of the lower class or upper class. It really lifts your spirits when you come to someplace nice.
It is not a soup kitchen where you open the door and you are served a cafeteria-style meal. You have a waiter, you have a menu, you have a choice.
This is a restaurant with linen napkins and a lovely menu. It's not people standing in line. It's not talking to each other. I've met more friends and nicer people here than I know in my own hometown.
When you take what was an old auto body shop and an eyesore here in the neighborhood and create a community restaurant where people could come and feel better for their experience, that's empowering.
Can you take this, Ron? Position 1, you got 1 in 5.
We're creating jobs here. We're empowering our staff to go on into other facets of the food service business. What they learn here, they'll take with them.
Justin, he comes to work every day. He came for like a month. He worked in an unpaid position.
I was literally here 4 days a week volunteering, 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day.
He started out as a dishwasher, and he did some prep work and making salads, chopping vegetables, and things like that. He had great enthusiasm. His attitude was getting better and better. So I said, I'd like to hire you, and I want to train you as a chef.
We have a restaurant here, creating commerce in a socially sustainable way. But what we were more concerned with was bringing back neighborhood, bringing back that place where people could come, they can get to know their neighbor, they can bring the neighborhoods back to life. Given the opportunity to make a difference, we all can.
Video can be viewed at johnbonjovisoulkitchen.org for anybody that wants to share it with somebody. We really, if you're going to talk to somebody or somebody asks you questions, we always ask that you sort of refer them to that. And so our cafe is very different from other cafes that you're going to see. And it's a way for us to deal with the situation and the feeding situation that we have here. We currently at Leland Family Ministries, we feed about 50 people a day who really have no food. And so this is going to be an opportunity for us to empower them to be able to pay for their meal. A lot of people, most people want to be able to pay for their meal. This is going to give us an opportunity to do that. The cafe falls under One World Everybody Eats. It's a national organization that works on combating local hunger through these type of pay what you can cafes. And we are really excited to be able to have them as a guiding organization. We've been able to call them and ask them questions. They've given us feedback. You know, there's going to be a lot of unique situations that are going to come up with this restaurant that we're going to need to have access and be able to network with the other people doing this because it's such a very different cafe. This is a little bit about One World Everybody Eats and who they are. They developed this nonprofit pay what you can cafe model. It's pay what you can pricing. So when you go in, there will be a menu up on the wall and there will be a suggested donation price by each item. So you'll have an entree there and it'll say $10 next to it. Above that, instead of the price, it'll say suggested donation. If you had $8, you could give $8 for the meal. If you don't have anything, you can also still get a meal. And we're going to provide you an opportunity to be able to volunteer. They focus on seasonal, local, and organic menu items. That's something that we plan to do as well. We have already established a partnership with the UF Extension office here on Highway 17, asking them how can we partner with our local farmers? How can we connect people to the buy local and eat local, seasonal, grown produce? That's something that's very important when you're looking at eating healthy. Is how can we also help to establish these partnerships? And they give us an idea of the farmers market that's happening here in Bartow. They just moved it to Wednesdays. And they're trying to figure out how to bring in farmers. And so they can actually use us as a partner to be able to bring in new farmers and produce vendors for that, because we will make a pact with them to take some of the produce off their hands at the end of the day that they don't sell, that then we can use in the restaurant. So our menu will be changing as the different produce and local grown things come available to us. You'll see our menu change a little bit, which provides minimal food waste because you allow people to pick their sizes, choose their sizes of their food instead of plating food that gets thrown away. And you have to provide a livable wage. That's very important to the staff people that are paid for this restaurant. We will have 2 staff initially. One will be a chef in the back of the house, and then we'll have a front of the house manager. And it's very important that they're paid a livable wage. Denise is the founder of One World Everybody Eats. She opened her cafe in 2003. And then she had some people come to her. When she opened her cafe, she had people coming in and she started giving them a free meal. And she started having people catch on to that concept, so they started providing an extra, they would pay extra and have a meal sitting there, so that when someone came in that was hungry, didn't have the money, instead of just giving them a handout, she could provide them a meal voucher, but then invite them to come back and volunteer. And it was through that concept that this was all birthed. And she did very well with that. And because of that concept being working out the way it did, she started having people calling her. Now there are, in 2009, the 5th one opened. Now there are 50 in the United States. John Bon Jovi came on board in 2011. His cafe has been very successful. It gave a celebrity face to this organization as well as the concept. That helped to sort of catapult the idea a little bit. And then Panera came in. Panera opened several of their Panera Cares, and they are the ones who really sat down and they were able to form the business model for these types of cafes. And they're the ones that established that when you come into the cafe, 60% of the people who come into the cafe will be paying the suggested donation price. 20% of the people who come in will be paying more, and 20% will pay less or nothing at all and be volunteers. So when you look at the economics of that, it really ends up working out so that you are making a profit there. So in some of these cafes, by virtue of the good feeling that comes with them, are doing better than the for-profit restaurants in their areas. That was something we were encouraged to hear about. There's over 30 in 2013, and now there are over 50. Okay, that brings us to Leland Family Ministries. For many of you in here, I know you know who we are. Many people who don't know much about Leland Family Ministries may associate us as a recovery ministry. And for years, the Leland Family Ministries has been in place for 19 years. The beginnings of which started in the judicial system, working with children that had that needed resources and had issues. Then it moved out of the judicial system out of the adolescent judicial system and started working with the methamphetamine problem that we have here in Polk County. Through that program, a legislative class was created. It's the meth-free class. If you're convicted of a crime that is meth-related or even sometimes alcohol-related, you may be sentenced to attend our meth-free class. It's an amazing informational class. It starts the recovery process for a lot of people. We follow that up with a 12-step faith-based program that we facilitate at the center called Recovery for Life. And that is an ongoing recovery program. So a lot of people who come through the meth-free program because they're court-ordered to be there, then they will plug into our Recovery for Life program in a faith-based setting. We have a lot of people who are court-ordered to do community service with us at the center, and it gives them a safe place to come and do community service. And without our community service workers, we really couldn't run our center. We have 7 employees, and we have 7 to 10 community service workers or volunteers that come there every day, and without them, we couldn't do what we do. So it's really a very valuable partnership that we have. About 9 years ago, Libby started serving dinner with her Recovery for Life program. She established that some of the people coming to recovery programs needed a meal as well. And so once she started serving a meal with the Recovery for Life, then she discovered that there were people out there that were hungry and needed a meal. So then we had people coming for a meal, and that became another resource. The community outreach programs, now Leland Family Ministries is really comprised of 5 areas. The community outreach programs, we have programs for senior citizens and adolescents. We have re-entry programs. If you're coming back into the system and you need a food box or a voucher for clothing, or you need transportation, we can help you with those things. There's lots of other things that fall under that as well. The food pantry and feeding programs, last year we fed 5,027 people hot meals at the center, and I don't know if you guys are familiar, but we're talking about a center right here in Bartow, right on Main Street, just down the road. 5,027 meals served here. 17,000 pounds of food were given out to people in the community. We give out food boxes on the last Wednesday of the month. We give out food boxes to about 104 or 5 families each month. If we had food storage and space, we would be able to give out and provide food for about 300 people. That's how many people in this community could use those food boxes. If we had one of those every week, we would have those 300 people in line every week. That need is real. And it's because of that program and that segment of our program that this Mosaics Community Cafe has been a natural next step for us. Sure, we have the thrift store program. If you know somebody that is in need, we can provide vouchers for clothing for our thrift store program, but the thrift store helps to generate some revenue for the ministry as well. The HEAL program, people who are recovering from drug and alcohol, first of all, when you think about recovery, most people think it's a drug or alcohol situation. Recovery is not only about drug and alcohol. It can be pornography, it can be shopping, gambling, and a lot of people will put down one addiction specifically drugs, and they'll pick up a food addiction. And because of that, we have the HEAL program. And the HEAL program is to give you the tools that you need to get out of your situation. One of the things that Libby has really built the ministry on is not being a Band-Aid ministry. Yes, you can come there and we're going to get you all the resources that you need, or we're going to head you in the direction that you need to get those resources, but we're also going to give you the tools that you need to get out of the situation that you're in. Whether or not you take that, that's on you. But for every one of our programs, we have those resources. Our HEAL program, we have a free personal trainer, Jason Leland, waving his hand back there, on staff that anybody has access to. We have a gym that's free to the public at the center. We have a partnership with Kaiser and their dietetic nutritionists that can come in and do classes. We have the Youth Extension Office that has come in and done some Nutrition 101 classes that were very helpful, how to read labels, teaching people in Polk County how to eat right and exercise, which we don't, we know how to eat right, but we don't eat right. So that's something that's really important. So getting back to the food pantry, that's the one program where we have people come in and eat every day, but then they don't plug into any of the other resources. They need food, they're in a desperate situation, they come in, we try to encourage them to stay for the recovery programs, and they don't. They get up and sneak out the door as soon as lunch is over. Mosaics is going to eliminate our feeding that we do at the center. If you want a hot meal, you can have a hot meal every day. Anybody who is hungry or hungry to make a change will have a seat at Mosaics Cafe. Together, possibly, you may be sitting at a table with somebody that you don't know that is in a need situation. You probably aren't going to know who that person is. But we are going to, yes, give you a free meal, but then you're going to have to give back, because now you either pay for your meal or you volunteer. But that doesn't only apply to someone in need. You may actually have someone that is, that has some discretionary income, just a little bit, and they don't have the money to go out to eat with a friend, so they want to come in and volunteer, which is good for us. We love all different types of volunteers. And in exchange for that volunteerism, we're going to give them a token. So it encourages volunteerism across the board. It's very important. We don't have enough people doing that and choosing that on their own today. So we're real excited about the social experiment part of this program. We know we've done some partnering. We've done tons and tons of meetings. We've met with Metropolitan Ministries, and a couple of the things that we know that have to happen is you have to have amazing food. And we will have amazing food. We established, this all has happened very quick. We talked about it with an advisory board, an amazing advisory board, in the beginning of January. We met with our board the following week and didn't even have a chance to meet with our advisory board again before we had formed a restaurant committee at the beginning of February, and we were making plans to secure this restaurant at the end of February. So it's happened very fast. The fundraising portion of this, we established these dinners. We put 6 of them in place. We wanted to do 2 things with them. We wanted to give people the information that they needed about this cafe. A lot of people really heard about this concept. They thought soup kitchen. And for those of you who know anything about soup kitchens, when they move into a neighborhood, so do the people who need those services, and sometimes that's not the best thing for your fellow business owners. And so there's been a lot of fear associated with this concept, even though that's not what this is at all. This is the furthest thing from the soup kitchen. I tried to think of a comparison of what this will be like in Bartow. All I can come up with is a cross between Palace Pizza and Ruby Tuesdays as far as the look it's going to have. It will look a lot like what you saw in the video. People will come there for the experience of sitting with people they don't know. That's very foreign to people here in the United States, and specifically in Bartow. It's not a foreign concept in other countries. People do it all the time. They sit together, they chit-chat, you get to know each other. It's not a barrier that they have. We have that barrier here. So people will come for that social part of that and the food, but they will leave with the messages we want them to know about, because those messages will be up on the wall. It'll be amazing service, amazing food. You can purchase the tokens. The tokens inside, there's a brochure on your tables. There's a question and answer. The frequently asked questions are inside, so anything I forget to go over is provided for you there. But the tokens that are inside, that will become a new currency that you'll see. They're going to be about this big around, and we're going to pre-sell those as gift certificates. The value of them is $10. If you volunteer at the center, you will be given one. For each day or if you just have to commit at least an hour, and we'll give you a token. So when you come in, and if you can't pay for your meal, you can also get one of those tokens. You'll just have to volunteer at either the center or down at the restaurant. And there will be some people who are not appropriate to be working in the restaurant. Those people will have opportunities to work at our warehouse or at the center. So yeah, we're going to have a whole management team that will sort of oversee that, and we'll have volunteer coordination. But when you're sitting at a table and you get up to pay, I may get up and have $10 and pay for my meal. Miss Gracie here may have purchased her gift certificate, and maybe worked for yours. And so when we get up and we go up to the counter, you're not going to know who has worked for their token or who has it as a gift certificate. It adds a whole dignity element that's very, very important. So those are some of the key points that we really wanted to point out. One of the things that makes us different from the John Bon Jovi Cafe is that we're going to have a culinary training program. There's a lot of people right now out of work. Those are the people that we're seeing come into the center. They're not homeless people, although we do have some homeless people. You may not know who they were from your neighbors, but we're seeing people coming in that are going from paycheck to food pantry because they're not making enough money to cover their bills. One of the most humbling experiences for me personally, when I first started at the center, I had no previous experience working with people in recovery or people really in need and social services. And so, I was doing marketing and took a break from that on food pantry distribution day, because that's a real feel-good thing to do. People in churches get involved in those things because it feels good to be a part of that. And so you go back there, and we're getting all the food together, and people are very gracious, and they're very humble to be there. And we want to make sure they're treated with dignity when they come in. So it's a really nice environment for them and it's a nice thing to be a part of. However, when I was back there, about 15 people back was one of my neighbors. A neighbor who I know has a very good job. Now, they do have 5 kids, but I would never have expected them to be in that line. They own a home 3 doors down from me. They own their home. So when you start thinking about the people that are in need, it really is your neighbor. There were 4 people that day that I knew, none of which I would have thought would ever be in that line. It broke my heart. I felt like a bad member of my community because I didn't know. We're supposed to be Christians. We're supposed to take care of each other. And I didn't even know they're 3 doors down. My whole family is a little overweight. So, it just really it just didn't make any sense to me. And, the statistics, I hate to quote statistics and catchphrases, but that from paycheck to food pantry, that's real. How can we be 9th in the nation, Polk County, Bartow, be 9th in the nation for obesity, and 1 in 4 of our kids are hungry? How is that possible? Kids are hungry. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I have to believe that there's a lot of good people out there, just like me, that just didn't know any better. How can you make a change if you don't know any different? A lot of our churches do a great job about educating people about the needs in Africa or India or Asia. We know all about the needs there, but we really are clueless about the needs here. Or we think that they have the opportunity to get out of their situation. And for some people, they just need a hand. They need to sit next to somebody and have a mentoring experience with them. And that's one of the things that's very powerful about this cafe, is that at the center, we have people come in for business meetings. We sit them next to somebody that's there for a service. And you start to see them interacting with each other and talking. And you start to see that person that was there for service's spirits be lifted. And the person who's talking to them spirits be lifted, because they needed them just as much as they needed them. And it really is a community effort. Mosaics is the name of the cafe. It is not attached to Mosaic, the phosphate industry. The reason why it's called Mosaics is that we're all broken pieces of this community. And it takes all the broken pieces brought together to make a healthy community, which is what we do. And so that's what we're trying to do. And I'm not an artist, so I would take all the little red pieces and put them over here and the blue pieces over there and the black pieces up here, and when I put them together, I'd have something that looks maybe like this, but you know, it'd look kind of symmetrical, but it wouldn't be very artistry. And when you go to Europe and you see the big, amazing mosaics, that takes a master artist to do that. And when you look at it from up close, when you're standing up against that wall, it looks like a mess. It looks like a just chaotic mess. But when you take about 4 steps back and look at it, it's a beautiful masterpiece. It takes all the pieces, even these cracked little, you know, yellow ones over here, or that brown one that's a little, you know, purple too, or this silver one over here. It takes all those pieces to create that masterpiece, and that's what Mosaics is about. It's about building community, it's about fighting and combating local hunger, and it's about getting people back to work. Our culinary training program will hopefully it'll be a 12-week program. We're going to take all of the important parts of learning how to work in a kitchen, and we're going to cram them into 12 weeks. And we're going to try to get 8 to 10 students per 12 weeks, get them through this program, and then partner with CareerSource Polk to make them a priority candidate for employment. So because they have that little certificate from us that they're going to be so proud of, because when you graduate from that, your graduation test is that you have to create your dream restaurant and your menu and a couple menu items. And you have to cook one of the menu items from your what's this called? Oh, menu, yeah, menu. And then you present that to our restaurant committee, our restaurant advisory committee, and they're going to do a tasting of it, and that's how you're going to get your final grade. When you graduate, we're going to give you a framed copy of your restaurant menu and your culinary knife set, and hopefully a jump start into the culinary industry with a accountability back to the fact that Leland Family Ministries and the community of Bartow helped you to get on your feet. That's what it's about. We are dedicated to combating local hunger, bringing the community together, creating commerce in a socially sustainable way. I love that. John Bon Jovi said that. That makes so much sense. Yeah, we're all focused on creating commerce, but we really don't focus on the socially sustainable way. And then our culinary arts program. We have been blessed to have partnered with Metropolitan Ministries, who already has a wonderful program in place. They are willing to help us every step of the way to get that undergoing. We met with the high school principal, and they have a great culinary arts program there, so we're really excited about the local partnership with them to try to get that all going. So that's something to be very excited about. That's our little token on the bottom. The little thing on the left-hand side there is our hunger shoe. That is our major fundraiser for this restaurant. We are seeking a sponsor right now that will provide this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tom's. That's like a Tom's shoe. And Tom's, if we own them, I'm not crazy about them. I think they're kind of ugly, but I have 2 pair because I want to give a shoe to somebody in need in another country. This shoe, for when we secure our sponsor and we decide on a color and it comes in, that shoe will be sold for $60 a piece, and it's a hunger shoe. There's a couple things that will happen when you purchase that shoe. They come in the most popular sizes in men and women's. When you pay your $60 for that shoe, we're going to give another shoe to someone in need in our community. Same size, same color. And the boxes that the shoes are in are labeled in a way so that you take them home and you fill them with things that a child or an adult may not get at a shelter, like for a teenage girl, maybe some fingernail polish, or a hair scrunchie, a hair bow, or something that they're not going to give them at a shelter, because we want to, and we're going to work on, it'll give us opportunities to provide those boxes to schools and churches and allow people to do local missions, because that's what we are in the business of doing at this point. Leland Family Ministries provides local missions here in Bartow and Polk County. And also that shoe for the $60 commitment provides a food box to 50 families. 50 families for one shoe sold. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. We were slated to open in May of 2015. We met with our architect last weekend, and it's looking like it's going to be more like June or July. So there's lots to do down there. We are waiting to get some direction from our architect, but there's lots of opportunities. We want anybody who is interested in painting, even if we have to have a chair and a little section of the wall, anybody who wants to be a part of this program from this community, we want them to have their hands there. We will have, the only reference that you'll see to Leland Family Ministries at the restaurant will be our tree. When you first walk in the restaurant, on the left-hand side, there will be the Tree of Life, which is that is that's our logo for Leland Family Ministries. And the center part of the tree, the roots and what's that thing called? Trunk. The roots and the trunk and the branches of the tree will be brown mosaics, and that will be artistry laid out. The leaves of the tree, though, will be contributions from any person who wants to come in and bring a little mosaic in there. A little piece of themselves added to this. Anybody who participates in this program, we definitely want them bringing in something, adding a little mosaic to the wall. So it's going to become literally a living, growing thing on the wall. And you may even see a little piece of a vodka bottle up there where someone has broken off their recovery. They're celebrating the fact that they're over that problem. And they're displaying that up there. That's going to be very powerful. So that's something that we wanted to put in place. But we wanted to invite you to please share this concept with as many people as you know. Next month, our meal will be a Taste of the South. It's being catered by Terry Law. She does an amazing job. She's on our restaurant advisory board. If you know of anybody who has, specific skills that we may need down there, or wants to get involved, please let us know. We invite everybody to come back and bring somebody next time that doesn't know what we're doing, because we want to make sure that this word gets out there and that people get excited about this. So we're going to be doing the Wednesday Farmers Market in a couple weeks, hopefully in 3 or so weeks. We will have a little pop-up representation of this restaurant. It should look like a fine little outdoor cafe pop-up. We're going to have one big round table with about 8 seats around it. And people are going to be very puzzled. They're going to be like, what am I supposed to do there? And so when they come up, we're going to give them this amazing food. We're going to talk to them about mosaics, seat them at the same table with 8 other people. And that's what we're going to be doing until we can get the doors open. But in the meantime, all between now and then, we're going to have cleaning and painting. And if you have skills or know somebody that's a contractor, we're going to have some of that. We may have some tile redoing that we're going to have to do. So there's lots of opportunities for people to get involved. Down the road, I mentioned the 2 employees. We need a front of the house person. That person needs to be amazing and dynamic. They need to be behind this. They need to understand it, because they're going to have a million people in there with questions. Now, anybody that's a part of this, I have a feeling it's going to be a place you're going to go, and the joy is going to be palatable. It already is. You go in there and it smells still a little funky, but the joy that's coming from in there is palatable. So I really feel like this is something that you want to be a part of. So we need a front of the house person. If you know of anybody, the job description for that, and we need a cook chef. Again, needs to be a really dynamic person. The rest of the people, and there's a lot of people that go with the restaurant, are volunteers or community service workers. So if you know somebody that needs to do a community service hours, send them our way once we get open. Questions?